Please welcome back to the stage your MC, Michelle McLean.
Hello, one. Hello, all. Hello, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Where have we? We've lost everyone. Hopefully, everyone will come back just now because we have a very exciting panel. I met David Goldstone last year, and we have become fast friends. And I must say, he's really introduced me to the world of hospitality and hotels, especially in the USA, and understanding what is happening in our environment here. Because as we heard from the panels earlier, it's so vastly different. The different guests that you get, the different personalities of different properties around the world. So to share more with us, I'm going to ask David Goldstone to come on stage, and we're going to ask Mark Fox, CIO from Beemok Hospitality, to join him. Thank you. This is going to be interesting.
Thank you. Oh, hello, everybody. Hopefully there will be more people coming in, because to hear this gentleman talk is an absolute treat. Mark and I have worked together for the past 2 years at Beemok. And Mark is charged with turning Charleston Place and the soon-to-be Cooper into the best hotel in the world. And I know Amanda's here from Kempinski, so those are fighting words. But that really is the mandate from the owner, excuse me, to make it the best hotel in the world, and he means it. So Mark, welcome.
Thank you.
Great to have you here. Mark is is the most knowledgeable technical person in our industry as far as I'm concerned. He's absolutely amazing to work with. He has the ability to take complex technical issues and dumb them down for idiots like me. So he's really good at what he does. But it really has been a pleasure working with him. And we're going to get into a few discussion points, and then we'll be open to the audience for any questions. So Mark, I'm gonna open up with a non-technology point, and it's really something that you instill in your people at Beemok. And I know it's a mantra, but always being on your game, especially in luxury, and no matter what service you provide. Do you mind getting into that a little bit?
Sure. So, as we've heard in earlier conversations, in order to really experience luxury, it's about engaging the guest, and it needs to be perfect. It needs to be an experience that's not marred by errors, mistakes, whether that's technology or whether that's the staff engagement. Everything needs to be perfect, and we are making a very large transition in culture, large transition in the facilities, as well as the systems that support the staff in every way. But your point, the ownership is made it very clear. This is going to be a top hotel, the top hotel, certainly in the US, and the goal is for the world.
Thank you. Mark, creating magical moments, especially in uber luxury, 24/7, is in parallel, or in essence, similar to a Broadway production. Do you mind just getting into what some of the differentiators are that you and the team at Beemok are doing as it relates to Charleston Place in that regard?
It is amazing to watch the culture. For everybody's benefit and a little bit of background, so Beemok is only about 2 years old. Their first acquisition was the Charleston Place by a local family that lives in Charleston and is actually only several blocks away from the hotel. And they're there all the time. But the objective has always been to make it an area or a destination with an experience. It's the cultural shift that's going on now is one where they truly do see every aspect of the hotel as a Broadway production. For Christmas, they have expanded or started a program where we have more than 200 trees. We have what is one of the largest train sets I've ever seen in my life. I'm sure it's not the largest one out there, but it spans 20 feet by 20 feet, and it's centered in the lobby. Everything is a Christmas theme. They engaged the local ballet to do a short rendition of the Nutcracker. They're in the hotel in the middle of the night, and they've got the video up on social media to share with the world. They're really trying to drive a sense of local both culture and mystique to really drive interest. The Christmas program that they do right now is pulling in thousands of people every night, all of which are locals. You know, the people at the hotel, the guests at the hotel, obviously also get to enjoy it, but it is drawing in thousands of people from the local community. It really is trying to generate that local atmosphere for both the guests and the community.
Thank you. So one of the things we were charged with when Mark and I started talking about the technology at Charleston Place was being discreet. It really was being discreet and being assisting. And technology today, especially in Uber luxury, really has to be discreet and assisting, not just for the guests in the rooms, but for guests around the lobby, as well as for staff. Mark has been busy with a huge undertaking, not just from an in-room point of view, but across the board at Charleston Place, from a PMS point of view, to really looking at the entire technical footprint. Is there anything you'd like to discuss as far as that's concerned, Mark, before we get into the technology piece?
So being about 2 years into owning the hotel, we actually took over management from Belmont 5 months into it, and we had just gone through COVID, or actually we're still going through COVID, and when Belmont realized that they were putting the property up for sale, actually pulled back on capital investment. As well, their capital investment within technology was at its limit to begin with. And so we've had a lot of work go into really trying to rebuild the foundation and to give a foundation for the staff to be able to have a seamless interaction with technology and not experience the frustrations that they were originally. But in terms of making it discreet, the key for us now is to provide the staff with the information they need to engage the guest in ways that is natural to their responsibilities, natural to their day-to-day tasks. We are going to be looking at an app for the staff to use in order to have a visibility of the guest, to provide that intimate experience. In addition to the guest-facing side, which we've spent much time on and have made tremendous improvements on, but it should feel natural. The guest-facing experience should feel very natural, and it certainly does at this point. But getting the staff armed with the right information to be able to engage the guest is the next journey once we get everything else, the foundation in place.
What has been amazing in working with Mark and the team has been the involvement of everybody from the president of Beemok down, as far as what is best for the guest. Like the user interface that we spent months in putting together is probably one of the best renditions of a user interface that I've ever seen in over 20 years in this business. It's really made a difference, and there'll be more to come as we keep upping the game to give Beemok what they are looking for.
Yeah, thank you to your team for that. They worked hand in glove with our marketing team, and it is a tremendous improvement and one of the best interfaces.
Thank you. Mark, shifting into AI, and again, not to embarrass Mark, but when one talks about security in our industry, Mark is probably one of the most knowledgeable people in the industry. There is another luxury hotel that I'm not going to mention, Mark's welcome to if he wishes to, who had a major technology breach, and they had an option of calling in Ghostbusters or Mark Fox. They called Mark Fox to get it sorted out. But AI and security is a huge issue today, not just in hotels, but certainly in hotels. And sometimes hotels are seen as lagging behind slightly when it comes to technology and certainly security. I'd love you to get into your opinion on AI and the problems that hoteliers face today around AI.
So AI is still early enough where a lot of people are looking at it. A lot of people are trying to determine how they incorporate it either into their business as a hotelier, or a lot of our vendors are looking at it right now, trying to identify how they can use AI within their product and provide a more rich feature set within their product. What we're looking at is we've actually broken out AI into 4 different categories. There's the personal AI, which we're not looking to restrict users from accessing it, but we want to make sure that they're not using the general personal accounts in the same way that you would not allow your staff to use their personal email accounts to conduct company business. We don't want them using their personal AI accounts to conduct company business. There's risks associated with that, primarily to do with the fact that anything that they supply to the AI engine is no longer proprietary. It's no longer your personal or company information, and it becomes public domain. So we don't want to allow staff to mistakenly give confidential information trying to get a task done for a very minimal return and unintentionally leak out company confidential information. So something for every hotelier to consider is that you really don't want your staff to use personal accounts. You should be establishing a corporate account that has the right protection in place. But stepping up from there, we are looking at what the vendors are doing with AI. In order to incorporate AI into business processes, you're not going to be able to do it, whether it's your PMS, whether it's your CRM system, you cannot do it outside of the vendor's product. It needs to be incorporated into their product, which means they're the ones who are going to drive that development. So it's not an area that we're looking to spend any time and energy in developing. Our focus is going to be to look at the vendors, see who are going to be the leaders, who have a solid plan, and what kind of reach they have depending upon which product it is. When you go beyond that, when you look across systems, the challenge, and I think is going to continue to be the challenge within hospitality for the independents, less so maybe for the major brands, is getting the data organized. AI is going to depend upon having a very rich data set. And in order to be able to utilize cross-system data, you first have to get that data out of those systems and get it into a repository that is organized in a way that the AI can make use and make sense out of it. That's going to be a huge investment for any company that chooses to go down that path. And it's effectively, if you cannot do insightful analytic data reporting or dashboarding and or analysis, then your AI is not going to be able to utilize that data set either. So one of the initiatives that we're looking at is creating our own data lake and then looking at how we would utilize the AI on top of that. One other area of AI that we're looking at very closely is the competitors, or the channel, I should say. In looking at the channel, the anticipation is that it's going to be the front end of the funnel. It's going to be the OTAs. It's going to be the booking engines or the fintech that are going to have the most rich data. They're going to get the best leverage out of AI. So they can afford to do that investment, and they can also reap the rewards of being able to get access to the guests before they book in such a way that they become the guests of the OTA or guests of theirs, and the hotels become more and more of a wholesaler. So we're looking at how we can better engage the guest and make sure that we are doing a better job of converting OTA guests and other guests where we don't have a rich data set, engaging them in such a way that they become our guests.
Thank you, which really Mark has also answered. the fact that there's lots of data that's out there and how to best utilize that data in a way that does not compromise the security of the guest, which is critical. And then obviously using AI to reach the guest before, during, and after the stay, and then introducing them to, for instance, the Cooper, which is going to be incredible. Mark, going off script a little, sorry, you were going to.
I was just going to say, I really didn't address your point about security, and I have dealt with a number of ransomware and data breach incidents, not where I was the one responsible for the systems, but have been brought in to help clean up. And something to be said about that is that the security necessary today is a moving goalpost. What I saw 10 years ago, 5 years ago, 3 years ago, it is constantly changing and the bar is getting raised. What once was considered best practice is now at best minimum requirements. And it's the insurance, where at one point it was the payment card industry that was driving it, now it's the insurance industry that's driving what those standards are. And they're becoming more and more demanding as they start to assess what the actuarial parameters are that are driving the risks, that are driving their payouts. And they're now driving very much the same way PCI did 10 years ago. They are now driving what the technical requirements are within the hotel, and it's changing every year.
So Mark, being charged with helping make Charleston Place and the Cooper, which is due to open in Q1 of 2025, the two most beautiful hotels in the world. And again, those are fighting words. We've got Kempinski and Hyatt in the room, so I saw Rika shudder when I said that. But what keeps you up at night? And we haven't discussed this, folks, so this is just really off-the-cuff discussion.
We're a young company. There's a lot to do. There's a lot of technical debt that had to be resolved and is still being resolved. It's a young company without really the standards in place. I come from a background having worked with some of the larger brands or ownership groups that you have a culture in place, you have standards in place, you have policies, you have the procedures. We're developing it all at the same time. And that becomes a challenge, but we're up to the task, and it's getting done. And it's exciting not to have the limitations. But it's also a lot of different activities going on, and keeping them all balanced is the challenge.
I've had the fortunate position of being in this industry for 20 years and working with every single major brand and major management and ownership companies across this industry. And I will tell you, working with Beemok and working with Mark has been probably one of the highlights of my career, because it's very exciting to work with, to Mark's point, a young company who are looking at how best to really raise the bar. And Charleston Place is raising the bar. For any of you who go to Charleston, I urge you to go in and if you can, stay at Charleston Place if you can get a room. Occupancy is running in the high 90s. But it is truly spectacular. And Mark, anything you want to add on the Cooper? I know it's early days with the Cooper.
It will be the only waterfront hotel in Charleston. It is going to be spectacular. They are pulling out all the stops. It is a gorgeous property, gorgeous location, and it's going to enhance the portfolio. It is just the next step, and our first opportunity to take care of everything from the ground up.
Right. And it really is spectacular. So with that, I am going to open the questions to the audience other than Rika and Amanda. Does anybody have any questions? And so we blinded by the light here. Yes, sir.
So balancing from the technology perspective of the investment, can you kind of give
Hang on, there's a mic coming, sorry. Thank you.
Can you give some, I think, additional comment between, the actions that are taken to protect data and security and the systems, and then what specific technologies that you're implementing from the guest experience perspective?
So starting with the data. Now, most systems are going into the cloud. It's interesting. Multi-factor authentication has become a must. 10 years ago, it was used in limited cases. Within a larger organization, it was probably already mature 5 to 10 years ago. But for a small single hotel or double hotel, small independent brands don't typically have those kinds of resources. But with everything moving up into the cloud, everything is carrying two-factor authentication. It's carrying the SSO authentication. So the security is getting baked into the authentication or the access to the systems, which currently are where the data lives. When we build out our own data lake, that will, whether it's on-premise or whether it's up in the cloud, that too will have that same layer of protection. Now, with respect to GDPR, with respect to the ability to pull that data or clear any data that is related to a guest that has requested it, those procedures have to be built in as well. And that's where it's going to get challenging, because the requirements are going up. The scope of any system, any kind of development is going to also go up. With regard to guest-facing technology, we are going forward with tablets out to the room. We are doing the full connected room, the automation within the room. We've got very enhanced leading edge in terms of responsiveness, capability, and interface with the in-room technology, with the in-room entertainment. Visibility across systems is getting upgraded as well. It's coming in every aspect of the fabric. Sorry if that doesn't fully answer your question.
Does that answer?
Yeah, we've heard a lot about the integration of technology into guest experience
Right.
preference. And it's not entirely clear to me. This is not directed at you.
No, sure.
But what specific, how that's specifically being implemented at a property level, so that when I go and I have a preference and data is being collected or information is being used, how that is ultimately enhancing.
If I can take that in one aspect. So
Sure.
what we're looking at as an example is we're working with a company that we've worked with before that provide an interactive iPad as an example in the room to control the IoT of things. But what that also does, it remembers guest preferences. So when you check in, you may watch 5 TV channels, CNN, Fox, whether 3 TV channels, etc. The system will remember your preferences. And the next time you come back to Charleston Place, those favorites will be up on the iPad for you. It'll remember your room temperature that you like. You like the room set at 70 degrees. The room will be set at 70 degrees before you check in, and then when you come back, be it the next day, be it the next year, it'll remember your preferences. So these are the things we're looking at. Down the road, there'll be preferences where through that kind of system, you can set the temperature of your bath water. You may want your shower at 100 degrees. It'll remember that. It'll set your shower at 100 degrees. Now, that may not be right away, but that's where this is going.
And I would also say, and apologize, but the risk is getting too deep into a response and 10 minutes later with one answer. But the other side of this is it has to be integrated with the operational procedures, which is, for a young company, it's, again, one of those points where everybody's open to the conversation, but there's a lot of conversations to be had. We're working with the reservations right now that they capture what not just your preferences, but your interests, your aspirations. What is it about the trip? What's driving you to come to Charleston? Capturing that within the property management system at the point of reservation, utilizing that with other touch points, bringing that up out of the system so that we can start to analyze it, probably be putting AI on top of that, and at that point be able to then store it and then push it back out to the staff in a lot of different ways. There's a lot that can be said here, but it would be very much down in the weeds, and I don't want to
Those are great questions, by the way.
too far with it. You're welcome.
Anything else add on to that?
I won't dominate, but
No, you're welcome to.
We'd certainly go offline if you'd like.
Any other questions, folks? Yes, sir. Is there a mic lady, please, over here? Thank you.
It sort of builds off of this one. I think something we've heard a lot in the last day or so has been about, Thank you. I think we've talked a lot about luxury and sort of the luxury trend moving towards personalization. And I think a lot of that, you mentioned, right, when folks come back, having those preferences, but what are you doing in terms of identifying those preferences or interests ahead of that first stay? Because that, I think, is what is going to drive them to actually come back, is that when they show up, you sort of already know who you're speaking with, right, at the reception desk. Are there data sources? Are there insights that you're looking at to say, or we sort of know who you are before that first engagement?
So at the risk of saying too much, the managing director that's going to be in charge of the Cooper, who is in charge of the Cooper during construction, will be after it opens, has a history, has a background where every single reservation gets researched. They use social media, they use other sources to understand the guests in a meaningful way. Has done it, operationalized it, and is intending to do it with the Cooper property as well. Whether that becomes a standard across both is to be seen, but it is going to be to that level where, yes, we are using third-party sources. We were exploring them now, and we'll determine what the right balance is.
Did that answer it for you? Good. We're getting red, ugly, rude signs here. Please wrap up session. So I think they're being flashed from there. So if there are any other questions, Mark and I are here all through today and this evening. We'd love to talk to you further. Thank you for being here, and thank you for your interest. Appreciate it. Mark, thank you.
Thank you.